this is a big problem because outrage is a finite resource, and
Yeah,
much of
absolutely.
the outrage in our society, it just goes to nonsense when there are really important things to be outraged about. And in my opinion, the number one is the longest wars in American history, but between Bush, Obama, and now Trump, we've destroyed like 6 Muslim nations. There's still right now in Yemen. I mean, there's going to be as many dead people in Yemen as there were in George W. Bush's Iraq War when this is all said and done. And it's like, it seems like there is more outrage generated against microaggressions and maybe, racist comments or something like that than there is about, quite literally, children being slaughtered. And that's a problem.
Yeah, no, that absolutely is a problem. And actually, it's funny you brought up John McCain, because that was one of the most sort of surreal moments in the drift of recent like mainstream liberalism for me that happened recently, because, I'm old enough to remember the Bush years when most people who are like kind of like mainstream progressive liberals were rightly horrified about Bush and the Iraq War and everything that went with that. And after after John McCain died, I remember there was this big military spending bill that came through, and literally like the liberal talking point wasn't, oh my God, this is horrifying that we're like pouring even more money into the war machine at the time when, as you point out, the Saudi Air Force with all sorts of aid and weapons and money from the United States is doing a bombing campaign in Yemen that's like verging on like genocidal in terms of the kill count, combined with sanctions that have led to like medieval diseases coming back. It's like really horrifying stuff. And the liberal talking point was literally like, oh my God, that's so bad that Trump didn't like give John McCain credit for this like bill that he worked on.
Or the liberal talking point, like it seems to me like the liberal take on this stuff is like, we want more female fighter pilots, or we want more transgender, people dropping the bombs over there or something. And I think that libertarians like myself and good leftists like you can say, no, we don't want any of this. And the truth is, as you said, I mean, the cholera, there were over 1 million cases of cholera. Cholera is curable by, I think, essentially fluids. I mean, you might need some antibiotics, but like yellow Gatorade will pretty much solve this problem. And and this could be ended in a phone call from the president of the United States. That's it. It's the Saudi regime that we prop up that's doing all of this. We were for a long time actually refueling their fighter pilots because they couldn't even do this stuff without us. And I mean, not to be too graphic, but what we're talking about here are babies puking and shitting themselves to death. It's like the most evil thing you could imagine on the planet. And I will give credit to Bernie Sanders, who was pretty great in the Senate on this issue. He didn't make it a major issue in his campaign, which I would have liked him to, but he did have a pretty good track record on this. And I mean, look, the real issue with it here, right, is that Obama started it and Trump's continued it. So there's no partisan, points to be scored from bringing it up. But both Barack Obama and Donald Trump should be charged with war crimes. I mean, this is like no joke. They should both be charged, convicted, and put to death for what they did to the people of Yemen. It's absolutely horrific.
Yeah, or at least life in prison maybe, but yeah.
Sure, okay,
sure.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't really like the death penalty either.
Yeah. No, that's right. But I guess, I mean, that's 100% co-signed on that. And of course, if you think about why that wasn't more of an issue in the campaign, some of it, like you said, is because there's no, particular partisan angle, right? Because because this is something that happened, under both Obama and Trump. But I think also part of it is that the unfortunate reality is that it's very hard to get, I think, most Americans excited about this, right? Especially because there's no, a few decades ago, several decades ago, right? When people were like very concerned about being drafted to be sent to Vietnam, and that was also on their TVs every night, right? That was maybe one thing, right? But I think right now, unfortunately, it's pretty it's pretty abstract to a lot of people, uh, and and so you're probably, unfortunately, not going to get that far leading with that, right? I mean, there were years when my main political activity was reading Glenn Greenwald columns and arguing with my liberal friends about them at the bar, and like certainly my experience was that like it was very easy to get to that point of people saying, yeah, that's bad, I agree, but right, and it's not necessarily a big priority, right? Like, and I think there may be a couple of different ways. Dave Smith, by the way, somebody asked, does have a Twitter. It's at Comic Dave Smith. But I think there may be a couple of ways that you could try to tie that into a larger political program, and this maybe will get us well, definitely, right, we'll get us to the other 90% of politics that we disagree about, and so one of them, right, which I think would be your way, is to sort of tie it into a general critique of the state as such, right? That statism and the state and all its works, should be rejected, and that gets you the kind of libertarian take on this, and another way, is to have the kind of Bernie Sanders sort of way, right? Which is to say, hey, we've got like guns versus butter trade-offs. We can, that rather than spending all of this money on these foreign wars that are supposed to make us safer, but really don't, right? And also are horrifying in themselves, right? That we should, that we should spend them on social spending at home. And of course, you could have a debate about which of those things are more helpful, right? Politically.